Ashley, and we are coming at you live from Boston on a gloomy Friday morning. And I believe, if I do my math correctly, this is our first episode of February.
Ooh.
That's exciting.
A new month, fresh start. Love it.
By this time, we have finished dry January successfully with ease.
I don't know, but last night we had ease. Ashley and I went to dinner with Matt and Joe last night at Carmelina's in the North End. And I think that was the first time I was craving alcohol the whole month of January.
Same.
Just needed a glass of a red wine with dinner.
Yeah, and it was just the pre-dinner, like when we're sitting there after we just ordered our food, and I was like, wow, like a glass of red wine would hit right now.
Is that going to be your first drink of choice on February 1st?
So February 1st is a Thursday. So as you guys are listening to this, if it is drop day that you're listening to it, I am going to Strega with Joe. We got a coupon in the mail for 25% off about a couple weeks ago. And we were like, should we use this? Probably, right? We were like, yeah. So we made a reservation. So we'll be having a Strega dinner. I want steak and some red wine. Maybe even like an espresso martini to finish.
Wow.
Yeah, we might go crazy.
So
who knows?
You're like getting drunk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your tolerance is going to be so out of whack.
It is. Honestly, I feel like I don't miss drinking a lot. I just miss the one cocktail or the one glass of wine. So I actually feel like this month was transformative for me.
Oh, that's great.
Also, I don't know about you, but you know when people talk about becoming sober and like they experience this sense of clarity?
Yes.
Your girl has the clarity.
I know. It's like just no brain fog.
Yeah, I feel sharp. I feel on it. It's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, seriously.
To feel my best.
Well, I am definitely one of those people where after a weekend of drinking or even just like a night of drinking, I don't feel good the next day. Like, not that I am so wildly hungover, but I'm not as sharp and I'm not as there. Like, I specifically remember Mondays, even if I drank on a Saturday, I just felt so groggy, especially in college. And that's a feeling I would like to never experience again.
Yeah.
But I'm also not giving up alcohol for the rest of my life.
No,
so.
of course. But
it's called balance.
It is called balance here at You Can Do Both.
Yes.
Also, guys, this is our 71st episode.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That is wild.
We have been on this journey for 2 years now.
We're coming up on the 2-year anniversary. It's in February. I think it's like February 10th or something.
Yeah, so it's probably in like
next
week
week
or 2. Yeah. Oh my god, we have to do something to celebrate. We're at episode 71, which means season 3 is coming to a close soon.
Which is so crazy because Ashley texted that to me yesterday and I was like, hold up. Don't we typically take our breaks in the summertime and it's simply not even spring yet? And then we were both reminded that we were just on top of our shit all of season 3. Previously, we would skip an episode, maybe only release 3 a month or 2 a month if life got crazy. But I'm so proud of us for being consistent this past season.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
It's like we're almost done and we're going to take a short break and then come back for season 4. Like season 4 sounds good. Crazy.
Season 4 in 2024, like the stars are aligning. One more thing we have to share. At dinner last night, Matt drove us. So we're driving over and Carmelina's is in the North End. So like it's in smack dab in the center of Hanover. I just spilt my coffee on our chair babies. I think it's going to come out, but if you're wondering why there's a paper towel here.
And I think that happened so that I could move my car and not get towed. Things are happening for a reason, and it's all in our favor.
You're so right.
Yeah.
Were there trucks out there?
Yeah, there were commercial vehicles.
There were?
Yeah, unloading.
There were commercial vehicles.
In the commercial vehicle zone. Wow, what a concept. Just my little car and all the commercial vehicles. So we're good. We're back on track.
Yes. So what I was trying to tell you is Matt drove us to dinner last night. And if anyone is familiar with Boston and the North End, you know it's impossible to find parking. Like there's no street parking. There's no meters there. I don't really know what we were expecting, but Matt was like,
He was so adamant.
he was like, have you ever heard of manifesting?
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, Matt, this one might be a little bit of a stretch. Guys, guess where we got parking? Directly out front of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Like, we could not have had a more front row spot.
Yeah.
Someone was leaving right as we were pulling in.
And they were leaving because it wasn't an official parking spot. I think they were just chilling there for a second. But we took that risk because we literally were like sitting at a table that
We could see the car
overlooked
the
the
whole
car because it was right there. Like, it was just insane. But the way that we took different routes to get to Hanover Street to look for parking, we were looking for parking for maybe 10 minutes before we actually pulled up to the restaurant to see if there was something relatively close by.
We were like slowly going through the back roads.
Yep.
And then we came down the main street.
We were like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. The second we get in front of our restaurant, it clears up for us.
It was kind of amazing. And then the receipt at dinner.
$222.20.
2222.
And that's what I like to call angel numbers.
Guys, it was amazing.
And that is my favorite angel number. So you know what that means? We're living in alignment with our life. We're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing. And things are about to come full circle for us.
They are. And that was just kind of the start to the weekend. So that was just like a special moment. And I thought it was such a us moment.
Yes.
Okay, with that, let's intro today's episode.
So today's topic is all the things that we should never be apologizing for. And that might sound pretty abrupt, and that's because it is. As females, I really feel like we take on a lot and we feel really deeply, which is our superpower, to be honest. Like, the way we empathize, men can't relate.
No.
However, it can kind of make us succumb to others in certain situations and almost not give us the power that we should have. So we're going to be giving you a list of all of the things that we shouldn't be apologizing for and like why we should never apologize for these things.
These can be larger things, but also just the words of saying, oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
How many times do you like bump into somebody or like you're saying excuse me, but you're like, so sorry, excuse me.
Yep.
Why do we need to say you're so sorry? Say, oh, excuse me. Assert your power. Assert your dominance.
Exactly.
So we're going to talk about bigger things, but then we're also going to talk about smaller things.
So depending on the situation when you're apologizing, it puts us at a disadvantage and makes us appear as not as the confident bosses that we actually are. Weak little girls. And allows people to step over us further when
it does.
We shouldn't even be apologizing in the first place, but it's just our tendency to be like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, you were in the wrong. I don't know why I'm apologizing.
No, like, literally that.
Like, what the hell?
Literally that.
Okay,
so first one.
Making a life decision that is best for you.
Yeah, I think so many women struggle with this when it comes to, oh my goodness, I really want to make this decision. But it's immediately our first thought is how it's going to affect everybody else.
Yeah, it's like, oh, but I feel guilty because it's inconveniencing this person's life and their feelings are going to be hurt. It's like, would
a man ever do that?
Okay, guys. I was having a difficult conversation at work a couple weeks ago. I was making a literal script and I was confiding in Matt, being like, does this sound okay? Whatever. He's like, Courtney, why don't you just say blank, blank, blank? Like, just say it straight out. I was like, but how could I ever just tell them like bluntly this or whatever? Like we feel the need to sugarcoat and ease into a difficult conversation as opposed to just ripping off a Band-Aid where men literally wouldn't think twice about how they should be navigating other people's emotions.
Exactly. And I think we all just need to agree to be more direct.
Yeah.
Get to the point.
Yeah.
And stop trying to sugarcoat. I mean, we can be aware of how other people are feeling and recognize that, but we don't need it to take a toll on like how we deliver news and all of those things.
Exactly. So an example, one of my best friends and work wives, she left our company a few months ago and I knew before anybody else because like we were obviously and still are close friends. And she literally like sat with herself for days. Like, I don't know how to do this. I'm leaving such a good team behind. I'm about X, Y, and Z. Like, I feel so bad for my decision. And it's like, hold up, girly, you're literally making a decision that's going to propel your career and your every which part of your life. This is not something you should be apologizing for.
No, that's a good example. All right, so the next one is saying no to people. I think whenever we kind of reject somebody or say no, our immediate thought is, oh, I'm so sorry, like, I can't make it. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not a big fan of this. Like, I don't think I want to go.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. We don't need to apologize. Just say no. Politely decline.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yep.
We don't need to feel guilty for not saying yes to everything in our lives. Similar to last week, like, you have to put yourself first.
I have an example for this one because I like still feel guilty to this day. But you know, female nature. Matt's friends wanted to come visit Boston on a weekend when I was hosting the holiday party. And they texted Matt, and Matt's obvious like first instinct is like, of course, like, come up, stay with us, whatever. But that I was already so stressed going into that weekend. I was leaving for Florida a couple days later. I had so much packing, organizing to do. And I really could not imagine myself entertaining people who have never been to the city before for like 2.5, 3 days straight when I had so much else going on in like my personal life. And I said no. And I felt so terrible saying no because I don't know, like, I feel like if my friends were coming to the city, Matt wouldn't think twice. He'd be like, of course. But sometimes you just have to say no and own it. And like, and I'm so happy that I actually did say no and they didn't end up coming because I was so productive that weekend when I needed to be.
No, I actually love that example because that's a situation where you're putting up boundaries.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need to apologize for that at all. It's like,
no.
Well, no, this is actually something I don't want, and I'm not going to like force myself into this situation.
I'm not going to enjoy it. Like, I would love for you guys to come up. Let's think of a different weekend.
Exactly.
And they came a few weekends later.
And a nice compromise.
Yeah.
I love that.
Same. It was a hard decision, but it was like the best one.
Yeah. Another great example.
Thank you.
Okay. Third one. Outgrowing people, situations, and jobs. This is such a normal piece of life. It's totally okay to outgrow people, and you don't need to feel guilty or kind of apologize for it. I mean, I think everyone's going to feel guilty, you know, when you kind of leave a best friend behind and you slowly outgrow that relationship. But it's a two-way street, and there's somebody on the other side of that. So it's not just all on you.
Yeah, correct. I think friendship breakups or just growing apart is a whole topic in itself. However, at the end of the day, you're still doing something that's best for you in a current moment. And if a situation or a relationship doesn't serve you anymore, you can be grateful for what you had and make peace with the situation and move on and not have to feel down and sorry for it and continually apologize for you just carrying on with your life the way that it should.
Yeah. And I think it's so good to outgrow things.
Yeah.
It means you're growing as a person.
Totally.
It means you're changing into ideally a better version of yourself. So I think I love exactly what you just said. Let's be grateful for the time that you spent with this job, opportunity, person, whatever it may be, and move on with ease without feeling sorry or guilty.
Totally. There's no need to apologize. I like this one. For not going on a date with someone.
No, this is probably my favorite one on this list. I've been in this situation where I feel so guilty saying no, so I will just say yes.
Of course.
But then it comes to a point where if now you're going on the dates, you got to break it off because you knew it from the start. It was never going to work.
Literally.
And it's so awkward. And usually the situation happens when like it's a setup or you're introduced through somebody. So then there's two people involved and you don't want to let them both down. And like, you feel really guilty. But at the end of the day, if you know it's not going to work, like save everybody the heartbreak, the effort, the energy. Just say no. you don't need to apologize. You're saving everybody in that situation.
Yeah.
Including yourself.
Yeah. That example reminds me of people that don't ghost and just simply like text, say, I loved like getting to know you. However, I don't think this is the best for both of us. Wish you the best of luck. Like, that is so mature, and it's not
rips off the Band-Aid.
And it's not, I'm so sorry. It's like, why are you apologizing if the feeling or the chemistry is just not there? Like, that's something you can't control. And so you are nice about it, but then you just tell them how it is and you go your separate ways. Period.
Love it. I'm just thinking about like how I would be if I was single right now.
Oh, that situation that I just described, I've never once done. I always ghosted, for sure.
I like to think that if I was single right now, I would be ruthless like that. And I would say, hey, like, I'm not interested in seeing you anymore.
Would. I think I would too, but pre-Matt, not interested. Some people just didn't deserve a farewell.
Yeah. No, before, as you all know, I was, going on a lot of dates before I met Joe. I didn't formally like cut it off with anybody.
No.
They were still texting me like, hey, like, you want to still get dinner? I'm just not answered.
I mean, what else? Sorry.
Oops.
They'll get the picture
And
at some point.
I think they followed me on Instagram. So then all of a sudden I'm posting Joe and they're like, did we overlap? I'm like, no, it was just 3 days later. I just met him 3 days later.
I'm not okay. That is so funny. You know what
Could have been you, but it wasn't.
You know what I still think about?
What?
The people that I've been on dates with, or like people that maybe wanted to have a date with me or whatever, slid into a DM at a point, like they just casually are bystanders to your life on social media. Like they're watching, they're like,
it's so funny. I still follow guys on Hinge that we didn't even make it to a date.
Yeah, same.
And like, I'm like a fan. I'm like, oh, wait, look at that girlfriend. Look who he found.
So
like,
proud of you.
That's so cute. Like, oh, he's traveling here. Like, you go, babe. You go. And like, literally never spoke words to this person, but know them through a dating app. And I think everyone can relate to that.
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
feel like that's a thing because everybody follows each other on social media.
No, it is. It's so easy. Wait, I want to hear something so funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of our friends, Jared, has this whole friend group outside of our friend group, which I think is just forking rude.
It is.
But anyhow, Jared posted a photo of me and him at the gym the other day because I trained him. And this guy that's from his other friend group but slid into my DMs years ago and has been following me on Instagram ever since, started talking about like to Jared, like, oh my God, like you're getting back into the gym. He started giving him helpful tips. And the guy said in a separate message, he's like, Court's legit. Like, she'll definitely whip you into shape. And I'm like, sir, how do you know this about me? Apparently, I give major gym rat energy on my Instagram because this guy I've never met before.
Social media is so crazy.
It's wild. I always forget that there's so many people on the other side, you know?
So many people.
Even when I run into people that I haven't seen in a while, they're like, oh my God, how was this trip and that trip? I'm like, how the fork do you know that?
Yeah.
And it's because I literally put my life on blast. Anyhow,
we've got some energy this morning.
We do.
Okay.
Number 5, I feel really passionately about.
This is Courtney's.
Yeah. So we should never be apologizing.
What helps you sleep at night?
Literally. We should never be apologizing for not being super prompt with responses. For example, you get a text message. Maybe you don't have the mental capacity to answer that text message, or you're in the middle of something. So you don't get to it till 2 days later. You don't need to apologize for the delay. I mean, like, you could be like, thanks for your patience, and we can reframe it so that it's courteous of the other person's time. But for the most part, like, you don't deserve anybody anything. Like, if an email comes through and I don't answer it for a week, like, sorry, I was busy. And actually, I'm going to take that out. I was busy. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah.
There's a way to be courteous without being like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. It's like, you need to do things on your own timeline, and people should respect that.
I love the rephrasing of it, like, thank you for your patience, instead of the go-to being, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I haven't answered. I'm also guilty of that, but it's if I like don't answer in 3 hours. I'm like, I'm so sorry for the delay. It's like nobody cares.
Yeah, no. My favorite thing is like someone I completely forget to respond. Like one of those things where I can't get to it now. I'm gonna get to it as soon as I can. Then I'm like, oh shit, a full week has gone by and I haven't opened this message yet. My favorite thing is to be like, so sorry I was in the shower. Like,
right,
so,
make a joke of it.
Yeah, you make a joke.
I think as long as it's not, you know, an important conversation where
course.
somebody's like, I'm having a mental breakdown, I need you right now. And it's like, a week goes by, so sorry I was in the shower, what's up?
Yeah, that would be inappropriate.
That would be inappropriate.
That would be
But
rude.
for these little like texts that don't really, there's no time constraint.
Yeah.
Take your time. Do
Yeah.
your thing.
Totally.
Okay, number 6, for being a passenger princess and leaning into gender roles when any sort of hard labor, manual labor is involved.
Actually, this might be my favorite. Like, you deserve, sweetie thang, to be taken.
Would you just say
sweetie
thang?
Sweetie thang.
Sweetie thang, you deserve.
You deserve to be taken care of. If you're fortunate enough to have somebody that really tries to alleviate any stress in your life, like, freaking own it. Eat that shit up. You deserve it.
Yeah, this is actually one I don't struggle with at all. I
No.
never apologize for things like this. I think if you have a true man in your life, they won't be looking for an apology.
No.
A thank you.
Of course.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Baby, you're so strong.
Yeah.
You're so strong. Thank you. Like, that's great. I think Joe's been really great in getting into the manual labor when it comes to helping me at the lake. I'm like, oh, that's a boy job.
Yep.
Get after it. He's like, yep, you're right. Like, he understands. Going through, what man would ever want to watch his woman pick up her own suitcase to put it in the overhead carry-on?
Yeah.
Can I do it? Sure. Will I do it when I'm alone? Absolutely. When I'm with you, I should never have to touch it.
Totally. I cannot wait for you to see Matt and I travel together. You're going to just die of laughter.
Because he carries everything?
He carries everything. He also is like, he has patience for me, but he like jokes that he doesn't have patience. Like,
Yeah.
he's the type of person that he knows when I'm like about to drop something.
Yeah.
So he'll like I'll be holding stuff and he'll just take everything. He's like, I don't want to have to deal with you dropping shit. Like, I'm just going to take everything.
I love that.
Like, it's quite comical. And I have this hysterical video, but it's like funny knowing I was in the moment. I don't know if it'd be funny to anybody else watching it back, but I captured this moment when we were traveling in Portugal. I am like passenger princess, like recording. I'm holding nothing. The man has every bag and suitcase in front of us, and I'm recording us walking into the airport. And in the moment, he like frantically turns around. He's like, "You have your phone, right?" Like, he didn't know I was recording. He's like,
Yeah.
even though he's carrying everything, he still has to make sure that I have my belongings.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I love that.
it's just so comforting.
It is. It's like those, I mean, we see this, you know, kind of trend when you're with your man, your brain just shuts off.
Yeah.
Traveling with your man, like, he's taking care of everything.
Yeah, you don't need to bring your wallet. Oh my God, I was dying. I was watching a Delaney Childs YouTube video a couple days ago, and the girls were at dinner with their husbands or their boyfriends, and it was time to pay for the bill, and the bill came, and they're pulling everything out of their wallet, like their Summer Fridays lip balm, their this, their that, and they were like putting it on the check. They're like, you think that'll cover it? Because like neither of them had their wallets, had a credit card, anything. And it's okay to lean into that. I actually encourage people to find a partner where like you can feel that taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely.
More than just monetarily.
Yeah.
Love being females in those situations.
I love being a woman.
I love being a woman.
Okay, number 7.
Asking for help. This is a really hard one that I think a lot of people in general struggle with. It's like a control power situation. It's like, I don't want to burden somebody else with my problems. This is your sign that you just can ask for help. In fact, the closest people around you will be so grateful that you shared some intimate problems or situations that you're navigating. And it's not something that you should feel sorry for. It's like, that's why you have a close circle. And I'm sure in other situations, you are that person to somebody else. So you deserve to be taken care of sometimes too when you really need it.
Yeah, and I think if anyone makes you feel guilty for asking for help, those aren't necessarily your people. Like, so at work, I've never once had anybody make me feel guilty for asking a question or clarifying something or following up again. And it speaks a lot about our culture, and our culture is something we really pride ourselves on at work. And I think it just speaks volumes to the people around you.
Totally.
Like, if anybody at work were to make me feel guilty or make me feel sorry for asking a question, realistically, like, they're the outlier, and like, they actually don't fit into that culture. So you can kind of do that same analysis in your life and be like, oh, that's weird. Like, when I asked this person for help, they weren't really there for me, and they kind of made me feel guilty. Okay, get them out of there.
Yeah.
That's not a you thing. That's a them.
Totally.
Numero ocho.
Ocho, baby.
Being emotional. I'm pretty emotional.
You're pretty dramatic.
I think those are two separate things.
Yeah. True.
It is, but I'm currently on my period right now, if you didn't know. So
Oh, wow.
things are heightened.
Gotcha.
Joe calls me emotional all the time, and I don't really apologize for it. I don't think we need to apologize for it.
No.
I think he should apologize for not knowing the last time he cried.
Yeah.
I think that's some inner work that he needs to go through. But we all have emotions. It's a human experience. Let's lean into them. You're feeling things. It's good. You're experiencing life. I don't think we need to apologize. And I think that's hard to do when you feel like you are emotionally, like, taxing on somebody. I think we definitely need to be aware of how much we are dumping onto somebody. But assuming, it's your normal, average emotions, you don't need to apologize for feeling.
Yeah. I think I say either to myself or to other people at least once a day, your emotions are valid. Like, you deserve to feel how you need to feel. And if you don't feel, then you're repressing and you're not being healthy about it. And eventually those emotions are going to burst out in another way. So you feel all the feels and do what you have to do to process and move on. And there's no need to apologize.
Final one,
number 9. That feels off-putting.
Wait, I love it. 9's my favorite number. I was just about to say I love that the list ends on number 9.
Okay, perfect. You can do both.
You can.
Final thing you don't have to apologize for is having high expectations for people in your life, for men, and how you expect to be treated. I think we talked about this in the previous episode, but when you treat yourself so well, there's no reason you should be lowering your standards for other people around you.
I think you have to be careful with this one because you can't expect somebody to read your mind and do all of these little things.
Yep.
But I think your core values, you can have high expectations for how you expect to be treated. So, for example, in the dating scene, you expect to not play games with somebody. And that's kind of like a boundary and an expectation you have with all of these dating candidates. And if somebody's like playing a game with you, it's perfectly valid. You're not for me then.
Yeah.
You don't meet my expectations, and I'm going to move on to the next for somebody who is going to treat me the way I want to be treated.
Yeah. It's like, don't compromise your own values and what you believe to stoop to somebody else's level.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Are you feeling empowered as a female?
I actually am. This conversation really lifted me and this stain up. So I'm feeling really good now that I look down and our gorgeous babies are not stained. And I'm feeling empowered. I feel like I'm probably never going to say I'm sorry again. Kidding.
Moral of the story here is there's a way to have empathy and be courteous of other people's emotions without succumbing yourself or putting yourself down in the process. You don't need to feel guilty about how you feel and the decisions that you're making. You can be courteous of people's emotions, but at the end of the day, you don't need to lead with, I'm so sorry, with everything that you do and the decisions you make in your life.
I hope this came off as exactly what you said and not, we are the best. I am never in the wrong. I will never apologize. No. That's not the vibe we're trying to bring. It's not making yourself vulnerable by apologizing and feeling guilty and like trying to meet everybody else's needs without meeting your own first.
Exactly. And as much as we're drilling this into your heads, we're also drilling this into our own. As we were talking, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually said sorry for that yesterday. Oopsies.
Yeah.
But I think the whole point is just realizing that we don't need to apologize for our emotions, and hopefully that'll help us, sleep better, stress less, like just carry through life a bit easier and lighter. And that's really all I would hope that you pick up from this episode.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So with that, if you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to leave us a rating and review. Send it to a friend who needs to be a little bit empowered today. And we will talk to you next week.
See ya. Illy.
Bye.